during the weekends or after working hours. So I just had a call with my clients and everything like just now. So that I just
Really?
let in you guys.
That's
Yes.
interesting. I would love to get to know it in detail later, but how about you, Aman? Like, how's everything?
Well, actually, I just usually work 9 to 5. Sometimes I work flexible. So, but my weekends, I usually focus on my friends and family because you need to balance out your work as well as your family time as well. So that for me is important for family time as well as work related.
So that's
Yeah.
good. So that's basically work-life balance already. Is good because now it's on a Saturday and there's students attending, and you guys are making time for this. So it's really interesting. Like all of us juggling a lot of things as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um. All right. So I think we're gonna start with your sharing session. Maybe we can start with Aman first. How would you? Are you ready? Are you guys ready?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's gonna be a
Ready.
normal conversation, right, Akasha?
Definitely a normal conversation. Right.
Normal conversation. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I would love to know. I would love for Aman to share on how do students apply internship? How to find the internship for us to apply?
Okay. So let me just share a little bit. This was before COVID-19. So usually before COVID-19, we will apply through LinkedIn or and a website. But for me, I have 4 ways of doing this. All right. I'm just gonna go straight to the point. 4 ways. The first one is if you know the company, there are 3 types: MNC, SME, and GLC. If you know how to differentiate these 3, then you can find their websites. You can apply there straight. Okay. The second one is LinkedIn. I'm okay if you apply through LinkedIn, but when you find an opening in there, it is best you copy that job opening and search their website, so that because HR, we spend a number of money on their website, for sure they want to utilize it to the best. So you can apply both through the LinkedIn as well as through the website. The third one, this is something that I love to do, where I will go into around Kuala Lumpur with my friends, and then we will find all kinds of companies, business in the building, and then we were like, okay, let's write it down. Okay, let's apply this one. Let's know more about this company. So that's when I love to do physical. I like to go to places. Just choose a place, Bangsa South, or you can go to probably down at KLCC. You will see that Petronas Twin Towers has a lot of companies. Get their names and then try to find out more about them, because you'll be surprised what they have. And the last one, this one is something that is for your own self, where your network. I'm sure that each and every one of us knows someone in our lives that has connections. And let's just say that in most companies, even though you have connections, they will send you in as a referral. So it's not like you're buying your way through most of the time. It's that you use your network and say, hey, I heard that you are working in Zalora. Maybe you know someone that I can send my resume to. So these are the 4 ways that I will use. And trust me, it's not easy. I have applied hundreds, and out of hundreds, maybe only 10 send me through interview. So that is where. So I already explained a little bit about the house. So of course, the websites, like for me, I would just like Google top companies in Malaysia or something like that. And then after that, when I will look at the companies, I'm like, okay, what are all the openings they have? And is it suitable to my degree background? All right. Um, that's how I want to find a company. And let's say you have done your research and then you look and then you're thinking, okay, Aman, I've already applied. So what's next? Well, that are not the only companies that are there. So you have to look at other companies. And one thing I want to share about that is when you think about companies, you think about Petronas, you think about TNB, Maxis, Shell, or any of these companies, or even the big four. For this is all mostly business students. You think about the big four. What if I told you that there are other companies that are also quite big, but you do not know about? For example, do you guys know Luxottica? Akasha, you know Luxottica?
I actually haven't heard of it. Yeah.
How about you, Zulaikha? You know Luxottica?
Yes, I've heard of that.
Okay, so of course you know, because we outline of business. So Luxottica is a company where they are the largest manufacturing of eyewear products. And guess who are their companies that they give out to. Ray-Ban, Oakley, Michael Kors, Prada, and many more top brands. So when you think about all these top brands and their shades, like, oh, they're so nice. But have you asked yourself, where do they get it from? Luxottica. That's a very good example. So imagine you're like, oh, I want to work at Prada, but what if I told you you can work at Luxottica, where you, instead of working at a big company, you can work at a company that supplies this product. That's where my line of work comes in as procurement. For example, in the banking industry, you've got a public bank, Maybank, CIMB, but who handles their transaction? Who handles their financial telecommunication? That's where I come in. I'm under Swift SE. So if you look at our name, Society Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. So we actually provide communications to all the banks around the world, and it's part of their requirement. If you know someone who works in the banks who handles transaction, you can ask them, do you know Swift reference code? Do you use it, and how? That's where the product and service that I come from. So my point of message here is that when you apply for internship, you can look at all these big companies, but try to find out what other companies that they actually need supplies from. So you have manufacturing companies, you have software and hardware providers, even Intel or Lenovo. They don't build their product from scratch. They need these supplies from somewhere. Maybe you can work for those companies because they will never go down. They will have continuous demand in the market. The higher Tesla is, find out who are their suppliers, and trust me, if you know who their suppliers, you let me know. I also want to try. Yeah, that's a fun fact. Yeah. So
understood. Amman, if you don't mind, I just want to break it down because I got some interesting points just now. From you. Where you said first I just want to go through the points where you could apply through LinkedIn or the company's website. That's basically virtual, right? And there's through networks as well. We can go in as referral, which is really good. So I guess it's important for the students to join the events to build networking during degree life as well, is it?
Yep, that's what I've been doing for my 3 years in degree. Even Zulaikha also joined with me as well. We go through events, get to know people, even virtually. I think that's one thing why my big boss, my CPO, always say, you know what, where I achieve in my career is the people around me, the network. Because when you join a company as a fresh grad, you don't know anything. You probably only know what you learn in degree. So skills can be trained, but how about your network? How about your attitude? These are the things that you need to learn on your own. So every companies or most companies will provide you this training, but your attitude and your ability to communicate and network, that is on your own. So yeah.
Also, the soft skills plays a major role as well, right? Through the networking, you build up all soft skills. I also, an interesting point where you said, strolling around the cities, looking at the companies building, because I know for a fact, before at the MCO and all, I went touring around in KL. I can see near KLCC, you say there's Maxius building. And if we're standing in Dataran, Malaysia, we can see the Mara building. There's a lot of big buildings. So we could just take inspiration from there, is it? To like apply internship, because relating to your point where you say like instead of just looking the companies here, although they're big, but look at their suppliers, is it? We could just aim for that company, the big companies that are really, really big, that's supplying to these big companies, is it?
Yep, that's one thing why that's how actually I do it when I don't like depend on point A where, oh, okay, I'm going to apply at the big four accounting firms. Yeah, but how guarantee are you? Because they are quite famous, everyone's going to apply, but nobody knows about who is supplying them the professional services, who is supplying them these consultations. Maybe you can try these companies, Accenture, for example. Maybe they are quite famous, but it's another company where it's also supplying professional services to the big four. Maybe you can join them as well.
That's really smart. So it shows that we don't only have to rely on the company's reputation, but by doing thorough research, we actually know they are collaborating and all intertwined with other companies. So basically, you applied for like at least around 100 companies, is it?
I've lost track. That was like 2 years ago. I think that time me, Zulaikha, and a few of our friends applied a lot of companies. We even shared with each other's companies. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy, but even though you have the requirements, I think that one Zulaikha will share a little bit. Even though you have requirements, sometimes HR they will choose the best. And even though you're like the top three, they have to choose only one, right? So yeah, it's a lot of times when I receive, Amman, sincere apologies, you are one of our top three, but we had to let you go. You will receive sad news. And the best part about it is take it in, accept that, and then try to look at other companies. Keep on applying.
So
Yep.
it's just good to just blast all the applications, is it? We could just apply as many as possible. Then
Yeah.
I believe when we have options, is it? Like after that we can see things clearer. Is that what you do basically, right?
Yeah, actually, I have a tracker. And the
Wow,
funny thing
Amman.
about me
You have
is
a
that I
tracker.
have a tracker. So I keep track of their market, financial market, marketing, and manufacturing. And then I put the company's name, right? And then I will like, okay, the sun said no, sun said yes, sun said nothing yes. But one thing that I want to share that when you're about to apply for internship, right? My resume, my experience are the same, but I tune the right words according to the job description. So if you were to open my computer, you will see that I have 5 types of resume tuning to based on the job description, from accountancy to marketing to communication. But they actually, my experience is the same. I'm still doing organizing events, but I tune my words to suit what is the requirement in the job. That's why when you do your research on the openings, right, in internship, Akasha, I will look like, okay, for marketing, they're looking for someone who's able to share the product, how to promote the product. I mean, me organizing an event, I somehow know how to market the event to the society. So I'll use that tune of words into my resume. That's why in my resume, I still have 5 of them, and I keep on updating them every 3 months.
Oh, I see. So basically with the skill sets you learn along the way, so you constantly update your resume as well. That's really good. So
Yep, update my resume.
I just
Akasha,
wanna go through the point.
I think like sorry, just to add one more. I mean about you saying like blasting your resumes, right? I think it's good if you want to blast to a lot of
Yeah.
companies, but you need to make sure that the companies that you're blasting in, like Aman said, you have to tweak them into certain words as well, according to what sectors they're in. There's no point. It's not gonna bring you the results that you want if you keep blasting the same resume around. And sometimes HR people, so for some companies, they outsource the HR, right? People are getting the same resumes about you. Like they might have even marked you as like, oh, this girl or this boy is sending like about the same thing. You already mark it, okay, no, it's like a spam already. So you have to be able to tweak your resumes accordingly.
I see that we have a question from Edina here. Do you have any tips on how to make resumes stand out? Okay, there's a lot of ways to make your resume stand out. And for me personally, like what I mentioned, how you use your words. I actually have a few examples here on my screen. I'll just give you an example. Let's say you've been a cashier in a shop, right? You can use the word cashier, or you can ask your manager, can I use the word guest service team member? Means that you are accompanying the guest. Or you can add as cashier. Can I put cash management, because I'm managing the cash of your business? So using this kind of words actually might trigger HR, because in LinkedIn, I learned this because I was procuring some software for the HR. They capture keywords like cash management, basic accountancy, and then also a few software. So like you're just doing cashier, but what are the skills you're doing? Cash management. So you change the cashier word into cash management. Or another word here where actually I did this before back in uni. I was an office cleaner. Office
wow,
cleaner.
I didn't know that.
I could clean the office, yeah. So what did I put in the resume? I am a field sanitation. It's similar, right? The words that you use in your resume determines what are the output that you will present to your the companies. So when I want to join any companies that provide facility management, I said I have involved as a field sanitation or domestic duty to IMW. So I help do this, I do that. I explain that. I mean, I don't sweep the floor. I said I monitor the floor, I clean it, use the right words. And of course, don't lie, just use the right words. Yeah, that's one way to stand out.
Understood.
Another thing is this is something that you can learn online. If you go to any social media platform, just put that hashtag internship, you will see that there's a lot of people sharing their experience and keywords on their job resume. So just go social media, you put that hashtag internship, hashtag resume, you will see that a lot of top people will tell you, use these words, use this resume type. So ask yourself, if I were to use this resume type, what is it meant for which job? Is it meant for finance industry? Is it meant for marketing? Yeah, that's actually how I do my tracking. So yeah, I always use the hashtag. It's one of the
Understood.
benefits of online.
Up to that detail, yeah, on up to that detail on certain type of resume for certain companies in certain industries. It's good. I hope all of you guys are literally jotting down notes, because I've been literally jotting down notes, and I know it's not even enough. But we could clear on the last part. We don't only need to just update the resume like Amman said, but Zulaikha said we should personalize the CV, the resume, when applying for internships, right?
Yeah.
All right, Aman, I guess I'm gonna get back to you after this. Now we're gonna move to Zulaikha. Why don't you share on some interview tips? What do we do during an internship interview? What do we do if we lack of experience on facing it as well?
Okay. So I think because what would make sense for you guys now is everything is virtually, right? Your interview is also going to be virtually. You're not going to go face to face. There's pros and cons as well. But the first thing is always you need to have a good first impression. Okay, how you can do this? It's very cliche, but please dress well. Okay, I've interviewed a few candidates that come in because it's Zaldora, it's fashion, but still you can't come in with a tank top. You need to be able to look presentable, dress well. And another point is please silence your phone during your interview. You are going to get phone calls from your friends or whatnot. Maybe they're asking, are you in the interview already? Whatnot. Just silence your phone or put on do not disturb, because when you are already starting the interview, you need to be focused on the interviewer. And perhaps the interviewer is really like focused on you because they want to know about you a lot, right? So put your best dress forward. Make sure you are focused during the conversation that you're having with your interview as well. And because I have experience hiring interns for myself, for the work that I'm doing, because I do need a lot of interns helping me here and there, I also look into their personality in doing interview. It's not just what you write in your resume that matters. It's how you actually conveying what you are writing in your resumes. Because if you're just reading your resume, they were like, we know you're reading your resume, we can see your resume, right? So your personality while we're asking certain questions, how you revert back to us, that's very, very important. Like also Amman mentioned just now, like skills can be learned, but personality is something very hard for us to tweak for you. And we want someone that will be able to be adaptable to the company if we hire you as well. And I think another point I can say here is that there's a very, very typical question the interviewer always asks is, sometimes the first question is going to be like, okay, hi everyone, blah, blah, blah. They're going to just start, tell me about yourself. And I always get a lot of candidates, they're stuck there. They don't know what to say because they're like, okay, I don't even know about myself, right? Like, okay, what am I supposed to say? Sometimes they'll come in like, okay, so my name is blah, blah, blah. I'm how old am I? And things like that. To me, your name is important, but your age is not so important. We're not here to say, okay, you're 30 years old, you're too old for internship position. Because we don't want to know information that we don't need to know to hire you, right? So I don't have an answer for that. So you should talk about your resume when people say, tell me about yourself. So you talk from the top. Okay, where did you study? What are you majoring in? If you're doing international business, you can start, okay, right now I'm majoring in international business. I'm going to roughly graduate when. right? You need to know because your supervisor or manager needs to know when. And then you can already go ahead what job experience you've had, what extracurricular activities you've done. And then the special point that you can actually focus on here is talk about the skills that you've gained and you've acquired while doing these events or extracurricular. That's what people want to see, because if it's just writing, okay, I'm managing events, but what are the learnings that you get from there? We want to know the skills that you will bring forward to the company when you join the company as well, not just the skills that we can give to you. We want to know what you can actually give back to the company during your internship. Okay.
Just want to
Ah,
add on
understood.
that is that
Yeah.
one thing when they ask me, tell me about yourself, the first thing I'm going to say is I always use this line in my resume. I'm a social butterfly. So that's the first line I was like break the ice, and then only I'll go about my experience and so on. So if you are able to give yourself a simple title that describes your attitude to the interviewer, they can tell, oh, okay, I'm a social butterfly. Okay, we need someone like that. We're able to communicate with our vendors. That's why I joined the procurement line. So you need to find a very simple title that describes you, that relates to that job. So if
That's
someone like,
also, yeah, that's also some of the questions that you might ask. Okay, describe yourself in one word. If your friend would describe yourself, what would they say? So if you don't prepare this beforehand, right, you're going to be stuck. You're going to be there like, okay, I am blah, 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 but you're not answering the question. Then we know like, okay, maybe this person doesn't really know about themselves. So it's kind of like a bit of a red flag. But now that you know you can prepare these questions beforehand, know about this before you actually apply and go for an interview session.
and let's say you are feeling nervous before your interview. What I always do is I go to the toilet, I wash my face, I'm like, okay, Amman, you can do this. Even just now before this phone call, I go to the toilet and like, okay, Amman, you can do this. So even if you see someone who is confident, they must have done something beforehand to make them feel comfortable with the crowd. And before this microphone phone call, I will be like, okay, let me just say my ABC, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So I have to wear my line, my words, so it doesn't like out of tune. These are the few key points that you can take note before your interview. Yep.
Correct. A good mindset is really important before you try and do something out of your comfort zone. Like going for interviews, you don't know who your interviewer is. Of course, it's like very nerve-wracking. They can be someone scary or they can be someone nice. You don't know. But what you can control is actually how you feel about the moment you're doing it, right? So you focus on what you can do.
So it's interesting. So it's basically, I believe most of the, because since we're studying, it's always about trying to remembering everything for that exam. So I believe for students, so like Zulaikha said, when you yourself, you had experience when you ask in candidates, explain about yourself, tell me about yourself, they a bit stuck. So it's good if to highlight here that we don't actually have to prepare only for work scope related for the company, but it's about our personality, about our skill sets.
Correct.
We actually know what we're capable of. So it's really important, is it?
Yes.
I have one quick question on this. Let's say during the interview itself, are the company usually looking more toward students that have that particular skill set, or a good personality? Like which one is like would be a greater asset for the student to get an internship? Is it a particular skill set, or
It really depends on what the position you are applying for. Because let's say your position that you're applying for really wants someone that is specifically saying that you need this set of skills. I need you to understand advanced Excel skills. So if you don't have that, you have good personality, it's still not going to work. Because we are already saying out there that we need you to have these skills. So during the interview, of course, we already sift through candidates with great Excel skills. But then during the interview, we want to see your personality. So who has the best? Who can take on this job? Who can actually communicate in a proper manner to the supervisor or the manager? So it really depends. It's like yin and yang. Whatever. That's why, like Amman said as well, you need to tweak your resume according to
Oh,
what
the resume
the company wants.
personalized.
Yeah. Then during the
Ah,
interview, that's where you show
understood.
how you want to explain your resume. Because sometimes interviewer personally, if you're so busy, you don't have time to sift through the resume to look through, okay, this person has already studied, blah, blah, blah. Because the HR is sifting through that. When it goes to the hiring manager, they okay, I got the resume, I go in the interview. That is why they ask, tell me about yourself. Because sometimes they don't even know. And when you are doing your resume, like Aman saying, do not lie, you can leverage on the words, use proper words like bombastic words to make it sound like really nice, but don't lie. Because during interview, we would know if you're lying because we open your resume there and you're not talking about it. You're talking about something else.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then maybe you write there like, I know Japanese. And then I'll be like, okay, why don't you speak a little bit of Japanese? Because personally, I do know a bit of Japanese. So when I ask, like, if they don't know, okay, we know they're lying already. So don't try to do something like that just because you want to attract people to look into your resume. Because when you get to the level that interviewer is already asking you questions, you're going to get stuck there. You can't bullshit your way through, right? So
Yeah. Actually,
Okay.
just to add on, right, when I mentioned 100 application, right, actually, it's what I applied, but what's available is maybe 300. So out of 300, I know I can do 100 of that jobs available. Those are the one that I apply for. So you need to know what you can do before you start applying. Because if you just simply show your resume to everybody and then you got to interview for this one company that you don't know the skills, and then you just read about it a day before, they can tell.
yeah,
Because I
can
did
tell.
that before. It did not end well. It did not end well. It did not end well. So I learned that the hard way upfront in interview. Yeah. So apply for those that you know. Even if it's 100 of them, you apply, but the ones that you know, and make sure you tune it like what Zulaikha just mentioned.
So the personalization throughout the process, the thorough research, again, as mentioned, is very important.
Yeah.
Also, we should not be shy on explaining our skill set and all,
Correct.
but still stay truthful, right?
Yes.
Because if we're basically rejected on it, it's just not meant to be for it. There's always other jobs, other placement, other companies that are just more suitable, are more set for our skill sets, right?
Yeah. Take note
So
also,
that's very
take note also, sometimes during interview session, your interviewer might set a scenario for you to do maybe an email exercise, or like I mentioned just now, if they specifically ask you for someone who knows how to use Excel, they might give you an Excel sheet and give, okay, I'll give you 15 minutes. Can you get something from me out of here? So if you're lying in your resume, then it does not reflect the skills that you write in resume and then the results that you did during the exercise. So it doesn't look good for you, and also it's not helping your self-confidence, because if you lie and then you get rejected for it, you're like, okay, then you feel like, okay, I don't think I can get internship placement and all. So it all comes back to your mindset, it all comes back to your preparation. Everything, you must be truthful. Just because you feel that your resume is not as good as your friends doesn't mean you don't have the skills that is needed. So you leverage on the skills that you have. You focus on what you have instead of what you don't have.
understood. That's very interesting. Yeah, is because everyone is basically, we shouldn't compare our resume, because everyone is just working in the different line. Their skill set is different, right? But I just
Correct.
wanna get back to the situational questions. I believe like they actually give like situational questions on how to do it, because they also give tasks during the interview. Is it because
Yes.
I've had friends, acquaintance who actually applied for internships in IT companies, engineering companies. They usually give a task for 4 days, for a week. Can you do this? Can you do this coding and all? So it does apply the same to business related field as well, is it?
Yes,
Yes.
I
Because
can
they
give you
give the
one
Excel sheet.
example. McKinsey and Company is a consulting firm.
Okay.
They have 8 interviews. Out of the 8 interviews, the first 2 is about yourself, not yourself as who you are, your experience. Then the third, fourth, fifth, sixth interview is more about case scenario. They give you case studies. And then in this 4 the interviews, the case studies, is 4 different consultants from 4 different markets. And then the final
Oh
2 is
wow.
more towards evaluation. Yeah, I actually I did apply intern in McKinsey and actually joined them for this one leadership program, YLA. I think you Google, you know YLA. So they will tell you about these 8 interviews that they've done for these fresh grads, and of course they pay really well, like 5 digits well. But the downside is that you need to be very, very expert in the industry that you're applying for. So some, like even business, it's just a business. We want to do consultation, but they want to make sure that if you're going to consult our clients, you need to know this, this, this. If you do not know this, 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 the door is over there. They can be very, very harsh. Oh, thank you. This door's
Oh,
over there. So I'm like, thank you. Yeah. So just to share with you, not only in certain specific industry like engineer or what, but even in business, when it comes to certain line of work, even accountancy, you need ACCA, you need CPA for this kind of job. Why apply when you don't have the ACCA? You look for others that provide maybe treasury, another job scope in the company. So if you really want to apply for the big four and you want to apply for this job that has a certificate and you cannot get it, look at their departments, see what other job availabilities in that department you can apply. Why? Because when you get a similar job in the company, you can go training along the way and then apply and then get the job position that you dream for, right? So for example, like me, procurement, I actually dream of becoming a CPO, a sourcing. So I need these skills, but I can't just jump there straight. So when I joined the procurement line, I learned everything. And then I tell my manager, I want to drive sourcing. She said, okay, I'll give you some training. So while I'm doing my work on the weekends, like right now, I usually spend 1 or 2 hours studying sourcing. So maybe in the next 3-4 years, I'm able to join sourcing. That's how you build your career ladder. Not necessarily you want to get this job, you want to become an investment. I saw the question, you become an investment. You can try to jump that straight, but you may not have the skills. So what you do, you look at what are the small jobs under investment that you can look into. Then you apply for that as intern, and then you slowly ask your manager, can I learn this? Can I able to talk to someone in that line? So when you talk to someone in that line, you gain the experience, then you slowly build up to the investment line. Another example
so
is there.
that's basically an example relating after we get the internship as well, is it?
Yeah, if you want to grow up your career to something that you
Yeah.
love, then you try to find your way and tune that way to that job.
All right. That's well, we're gonna move on relating to that topic as well on how to grow and all. Since we're done with the first two, how do we apply? We're done with applying. We're done with getting the interview. So now, let's say after getting accepted as well, um, how should we approach our first day on the job? Nerve wracking, nervous, never work in a company and all. So of course it's different vibe, right? How should we approach? What is it about? Like, what do we do? How do we make a good impression basically? So Amman, Zulaikha, yeah, it's for both of you.
Ladies
So,
first.
okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, because we've all been an intern before, right? I mean, Aman and we've started being very, very nervous on our first job. So before you can do anything, the mindset is very important. As I said just now, you need to tell yourself that you can do it. There's no point in telling yourself that I can't do it, I'm so nervous. I'm gonna end up screwing things over. No, go to the toilet, go in front of the mirror, tell yourself that I got this, I can do this, I'm going to ace this. Tell yourself good stuff before you can even do something, right? Then once you're already joining the company, like if right now everything's virtual, right, you're going to be have to learn everything virtually. So set up your laptop earlier, make sure your internet's connection is okay, check in with your team the exact time that you need to check in, don't come in late, and be humble during the session that you have with your manager or supervisor, whoever is training you. Because as much as maybe you have a lot of knowledge about it already, remember, as an intern, you are here to gain knowledge, right? You need to be able to take in any feedback that is given to you, and then learn to implement the feedbacks that is also given. Because there's no point you take it in, then you forget about it. You're like, oh, it's just a feedback. Then you don't put it into actions. Then it's not gonna go. It's not gonna show into results, right? And then the second thing that I always tell my interns to do is do a G sheet or a G doc of your SOPs on how you can execute the task. Because first week is going to be very, very intense training. They're going to tell you everything you need to know about the task, and you're going to feel very overwhelmed because in uni, it's all about like one sem, you know this one, the next sem, you know about this thing. But when you go into internship, it's all jumbled up into just 1 week. So you can imagine how stressful you can get when you are unsure on how the processes of how people usually do stuff. So it helps when you compartmentalize your mind. Okay, this task, I need to do this, this, and this. This task, I need to do this, this, and this. So you can always go back to your document. And when you ask your supervisor as well, you write down, you document it there, because then you don't have to keep asking the same thing. It helps your relationship with your manager as well. Yeah. Someone you want to add? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So, of course, like I share about how you make your first impression. So I'm just going to share with you what you're going to go through during your first week. The first thing is, of course, there will be a corporate onboarding. So when, of course, you dress well, you look good, and when you open up your work laptop, you're going to go through a corporate onboarding. What is it about? It's more like an introduction, an ice breaking to the company, to you. They're going to tell you about who is your executives, what is the company's vision, goals, and so on. Now, some of you may think, oh, wait, I have a few of current interns who are like, it's kind of like knowing the company. I said, it's good because if you know the company, you can use its knowledge and advantage to win the executives level. So it's very important that you learn the company and then you try to communicate with the managers in a way so that you want to learn more from them. Hey, I heard that you are an executive for HR and you are doing this. Can I learn more from you whenever you're free next week? So these are the things that you must take note with corporate onboarding, because you will get the introduction of all the executives, all the managers, get their names, get their jobs, write it down, okay? And then when you know more about their jobs, you can ask them personally. I say, hey, I'm an intern, but are you free next week? So on my first week of the job, you know what I do? I joined the corporate onboarding. I met the HR manager, Shufen. Okay, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to win her. And you know what I did? I studied about what she's doing as a HR manager. I went, hi, Shufen. I'm actually part of this organization. I want to know more about HR. Could you spare half an hour next week? And guess what? I did spend half an hour with her next week. I get to know her. She knows me. And boom, I landed full time. So this is like an example of how you take an advantage of certain very simple events that you can get the network. All right. So corporate onboarding. The second one is some industry, they will have security screening where they will screen your background. They will make sure that everything you mention your resume and your IC or your criminal history is checked. Like working in Swift, we will check 7 years of your background. So if you have any criminal record, you need to justify. If not, they're going to start sending someone to you and like asking, why have you not disclosed this information? So you need to understand, if you're applying in a banking industry that has data protection, you need to make sure you disclose this information to your HR. If not, somebody in the KYC team or a compliance team will start asking questions. Yeah. And the third one is, I'm not sure about Zulaikha, but do you have a work buddy, Zulaikha? Because like in my company, I have a work buddy. So in case your internship, your first week, you have no idea what to do, you have a work buddy. The work buddy is someone who is like your friend, your best friend for the first week. They will tell you everything you need to know about the company. If you are lost, if you got stuck, how do I turn on my laptop? They will help you with that as well. All right. And throughout the first week, it is best you make the first impression. Like I made the first impression towards the HR manager, right? To my manager as well, and so on. The best thing you can do is show that you have the skills, very basic skills, soft skills, analytical skills. So what I did was I went up to my manager and say, hey, I create a tracker. What I did for the applications on Microsoft Excel, I do the same thing for this, where I have a tracker of my manager, Penny. I know I'm doing procurement and I want to learn. Can you show me a few SOPs I want to put into my tracker? Mentioning that made them think, oh, wow, okay, Amman is keeping track of all of this. This is good internship behavior. We want that. We want someone who has all of this in a recorded. So have a tracker so that you know all the SOPs, you know who to contact, even the names you write down, you put it into your Excel sheet. So like, you know, okay, if I ever get lost in finding out my access badge for my company, okay, I can find administration. Yeah. So you know who's the administration manager or the person involved. If you ask me, Amman, who's your administration? Arina. Who's your HR? Shufan. Who is your product? Thomas. I can literally just tell you who to contact in the company like that. That's how I do it. Accounts
Understood.
payable, Suzette. Treasury, Cheryl. You need to know these people. Be their friend. Talk to them. If you do not know how to talk to them during the first week, just ask. I heard that you are handling treasury. I'm an internship here. Maybe can you share a little bit more next week? Maybe half an hour. I can book your time. That's how I get to know these people.
That's very interesting.
So you're
Zulaikha,
like,
sorry.
you have to be proactive. You have to be out there when you're an intern, because if not, you're just going to be like the background. I'm pretty sure you can sometimes maybe hear from your seniors, oh, internship, you're just doing like things that they don't want to do. No, if you just do what they tell you to do, then perhaps you become like that. That is why if you do like what Amman did, it's going to, it's going to say like, oh, this person is credible. I'm going to evaluate this person and see if we can convert it to permanent. And then Amman got it, So you have like a life model here to say that this thing works.
Yeah.
Because I see the questions given here, so I'm like, okay, I know how to answer your question.
That's good. So I can see that both Amman and Zulaikha both mention on keeping track on the SOPs of the company, on the system, and also other than that, Amman mentioned about on being by doing like Zulaikha mentioned on doing on recording, on tracking the system of the work and all, like more work related, and Amman all about the context of the company, what to do with this and that, and with that we can go we can network from there because we actually know who's in charge of this, who's in charge of that.
Yes.
And other than that, I believe it's clear that it's possible now to just aim to get a permanent job during like the first few weeks or first few months of our internship as well, right? Does it actually make things easier for the company if they actually see the intern are doing well, or they actually will still consider although they're doing well? I think I didn't make that clear.
Like, okay,
yeah. No, I think like we can just move on that. But yeah, I would love for Zulaikha to explain a little bit more on the Google Docs on the task execution. How does it mean by that? Like, would you mind?
Would it reflect like if you can be turned into permanent or something?
On keeping track. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Both, yeah.
All right. So when you are doing all these trackers, SOPs on how to handle your tasks, right? Why your manager or supervisor is more keen to convert you is that technically it makes their job easier. You know how to do the job already. They don't have. Why should they hire someone new who does not know anything about the company, does not know how to do the daily tasks that they're supposed to do? When you have an intern that shows that they are very credible, they can do this job. They've been doing 30% of the job of someone permanent, maybe. So why not? Why shouldn't we convert? So it's a very obvious thing for a supervisor to just do that. Because as an intern also, of course, when you go for internship, you want to gain as much knowledge, and you also want a permanent position, right? When I first, because I actually interned in Zaldora as well, and I got absorbed. So my situation is similar with Amman as well. You be proactive. When you don't know how to do stuff, you have your SOP. And when you still don't know how to do stuff, when you go to your manager or your supervisor, don't just ask blatantly. You ask with a solution in your mind already. Don't be like, oh, how do I do this? Then if your supervisor is busy, they have to explain from A to Z. Why don't you go to the person, hi Zulaikha, how do I do this? Could I perhaps do 1, 2, 3 or ABC? And then we can just say, yeah, A is the best choice. You can proceed. Things like that gives a better impression of you to your supervisor already. You are proactive. You're giving solution. You're not like a kindergarten student asking, how do I do this? I don't know A, I don't know B. Because we can see that, because we already hire you, we have an impression of you already, we have an expectation on how we can do stuff. So you just have to meet the expectation. And when you intern also, you should also have an expectation of yourself on how far you should go, how good you should be. Then you just have to prove yourself from there.
Just to add a little bit more on that, what if you are introvert? How are you going to handle that? I had that question before a lot of time because I'm an extrovert. Okay, I'm going to tell you something very simple. All right. I'm an extrovert, but I still feel anxious. I still feel nervous. Like what Zulaikha just mentioned, what we just did. We go to the toilet, we clean our face, we look well. All right. And then how do you make the first question? It's very simple. Just say, hi, I'm an internship here. I'm an intern here. I may not know so much. You present to them that you don't know much. You're being humble, and then you want to know more from them. People would love to talk. I mean, these kind of people love to talk. So you use that to your advantage. Whatever they thought, you just write it down. So go up to someone like, oh, hi, I'm an intern. I do not know much about your job, but I know you're doing this. Could you share a little bit more? I'm just giving you a very general question. You can use this question to your disposal.
Yeah. And so it's basically, I can, sorry, Zulaikha, sorry.
Zulaikha.
So I think just wanted to add to Amman just now, like, when you're writing down stuff when they're talking, but sometimes perhaps that person is busy, they're talking so fast and you can't catch, right? I think you can also say like, hi, Zulaikha, maybe can I record this session for my reference later? Because even for my interns, when you're showing a lot of things, especially on the first week, information overload is going to make you so tired. After work, you most probably sleep at 8 because you're so tired of absorbing everything. So when you record a session, you can even look at it later on, maybe a few weeks to come when the information is actually relevant to you. Then it'll make your life easier as an intern.
Yeah.
Understood. So I can see the pattern from here, since we talked from the first thing ever, from applying for the companies, from the interviews, from even right now during the first few weeks and all. It's good to ask. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to state what we want. Also, don't just ask. Don't just do things blatantly. Always provide a solution, right? So it saves a lot more time, different point of views. So that's really great. Well, so after all of this, from researching, from getting a placement throughout the interview and all, getting the internship, what makes us stay in the career path? How do we know if it's the right one? Because we always, the fact when we're choosing our degree and all, we always thinking like, if this is the right one and all, because some people might even switch course. So how do you know once you get in the working life during the internship and all, how do we know if it's the right one?
Okay. Amman.
Okay, I'm just going to try to share you an example. This is a real story. I know someone 25 years who worked in the IT line, but then he ended up changing to HR, career path. So honestly, what makes you stay in the career path is how you find your interest in that. It goes back, what is your dream? What do you really want to do? If you love talking, what are the jobs you can do in talking, right? For this guy who's doing IT for 25 years, after his 10 years of his career, he felt that, Amman, I want to talk. So after 5 years, after 10 more years from that, I'm going to jump to HR. So like when you progress in your career, you are going to learn new skills and you felt like, oh, I want to go for that job instead. And then you try to find your way to go through that job. So what he did was smart. He's an IT background, being developer. How did he jump to HR? He said, when I become a manager, I hired people for my team. I learned HR from there. Now that's very smart. So that's how he do it to tune his career from IT development to HR. Another example, my manager Penny, she's an IT background. And how she became a procurement manager? It's easy. She was doing IT and then she was like, okay, I know we need these items in the company. We are procuring these items. Let me get involved with that procuring. And I ended up falling in love with procurement. I will give you 2 examples. So like right now you're asking us, what makes us choose this career path? For me, my dream is where I want to be a CEO. Wow, big dream, CEO, right? So what I did during my career in procurement, I asked my managers, what is the career path that I can go for me to achieve the CEO job? Or better yet, the CFO. They say, okay, Amman, when you do procurement, you're going to jump to sourcing, you're going to jump to this. So we're going to tune your career to that. I said, okay, let's do it. And along the way, when you are doing the job, when I'm doing the job, I began to slowly learn and love to do it because I see why the CEO and the CFO need to have this experience. And another fun fact, do you know that the executives, they all switch position? Meaning the CFO can become the CEO, the CEO can become the
Oh,
CFO.
wow.
What does that tell you? Yeah, because right, to be an executive, you need to know how to be
That's
a leadership.
interesting.
You need to learn how to manage your people. Because to understand the jobs and everything, the technical terms, those are your employees. You need to know how to manage them. You need to know how to guide them. So I was like, okay, so I need to learn how to be a leader, how to be a manager. So how to make people feel like, okay, I want to work with Amman. I want to be under him. When people began to make that out loud during town hall, right, it gives an impression that they want you to lead the team, even though you don't know much about it, but you learn along the way. So what my manager recommend to me, Amman, you go from procurement, then you go sourcing. And sourcing, you're going to learn about all these products from the accounting, from the IT and all. For all these products, you know what they need. You don't have to learn the program. That will be their job. You're going to learn how to manage that product. Then you jump to chief procurement officer. And then from there, you jump to being a spot executives. So they already prepared a career path for me there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to learn sourcing right now. I'm going to learn sourcing and learn all the IT. So that leads to my point on when you want to tune your work, you go towards it. So yeah. Zulaikha,
Okay, so
That's
so
interesting.
yeah, I guess I can also add that this relates to Amman because if you are comfortable with the culture of the company as well, you need to be able to be comfortable, right, working with the people around you for you to actually make decision whether you can stay as a permanent. So I think that's the most important one. And then when looking at the culture, you can also look at whether do you have career progression if you stay here. You know, what are you hired for? What position are you hired for? And when you are specifically, maybe your manager is asking, are you able to convert to permanent? Then you ask them, what position would this hold? Is it an executive, junior executive, or what is it? Then you talk to someone who has that position, because then it also related to what Aman said, because you need to know who is doing what. Then you can actually make some networking. You can ask them, hi, can I have 15 minutes of your time just to ask like what you've been handling, and then how do you feel so far about this company? Because personally, if there's no career progression, might as well you go somewhere that you feel that you can grow into. Because if your dream is to become a CEO and you're staying in a company that doesn't give you a career progression, do you think you'll be able to get there? It's going to take a long time, perhaps, right? So you need to think of a solution. So have a big dream, have like a filter, a funnel way of thinking. So, you know, filter funnel is like very like this, right? So a big dream, and then you break it down to like smaller things that you need to do to achieve that big things. So this is something that I always tell my interns to do as well. Even the simple tasks like, okay, I want you to do blah blah blah, right? Maybe something, get a data from the Tableau system or something. But she needs to understand, how do I use that dashboard first? How do I interpret that data? Then from there, even if I ask, can you find me the data for this brand, like Adidas last week? How many items did they sell in Zalora? So then they already know where to go because they understand the whole system. So it relates to whatever you want to do in your life as well. Do a pros and cons. What is the pros? What is the cons of staying? How do you properly understand the company? Then from there, you break it down to smaller things that you want.
Yeah, a dream without its goals. So when you have a dream, set your goals. Right? I was like, oh, I dream of
Yes.
having a big car. But how am I get a car? You dream, you make a goal. Okay, I want to
True.
save 5K for this year. Maybe next year another 5K. Then you pay down payment. You know, goals. Have the
So
goals.
it's actually important for us not to see just the, because even if the company provide the career progression, but if we don't have the funnel filter system, if it's the right, if we don't have, if we don't have the mini goals and all, it doesn't really help, right? So So we actually have to look upon this if we actually if we're looking for career, if we actually want to know if it's the right one, if there's any career progression, because we're always looking opportunities to grow, right? If it relates with our mini goals, then it's pretty accurate. Then the working culture and the networking, because as simple, it's really interesting because I can see as simple as having 15 minutes from a certain level of committee to just learn. It's not just networking, it's already learning. So it's really interesting. So I can see, yeah, I hope that answers the audience. I hope that gives an insight to the audience of if we're looking the right one. Is basically is back on how it relates with our goals, and if they are actually a growing
Yeah.
company, right? That's very important. I
Just so you
believe.
know, when you spend the 15 minutes or half an hour with the manager, you're already creating an impression to them of how you are. So actually, they get to know you. I'm like, okay, I will remember Amman. I will remember Zulaikha. I will remember Akasha. Okay, so I know you're
Yeah.
there. I know you
Nice.
existed.
Yeah, I
Uh,
live that. Yeah, so it's good to just get insights from them, because while we're getting insights, we're actually giving an impression to them as well, which
Yes.
just vice versa helps us to just stay there, to grow at the same company, right? All right, I believe that's a very lengthy sharing session. I
okay.
I wish we could have like another hour and all, but it's fine. It's fine. Maybe another time, another day. But just before this session end, why don't we go to the Q&A session? I believe there's one question I want. That I would love to dissect with you guys here. From Jasmine Sophia. Now with the pandemic, we will most likely work from home. So how do we show to the company my overall? So I guess how to give the impression, right? Because yeah,
Yeah,
because
actually, for this question, it relates back to Aman's tracker and my SOP. Not every intern would do this. I've had several interns under me. Not everyone would do this properly and present it to me and say, okay, Zulaikha, today this is my task, blah blah blah. So you are already showing that you're credible when you're doing these SOPs and the tracker, because it's showing that although we are doing things remotely, you can be confident that I, as an intern, I'm doing all these tasks daily. I don't have to be micromanaging my intern saying like, did you get this done already? Did you get this done? Because we already have a checklist. On Monday, you have to do certain things. And once it's done, she will write that completed. So I know it's completed. It's more of just remotely managing her because she already knows what to do. Because everything is already given. She's already presented herself in a way that I can handle whatever you give me, whatever responsibility you give me.
Yeah, just to add on to
understood.
that, is that when you are doing your work for like a month as an intern, right, you keep track of how many you have done in a day to a week, right? You have a tracker there. You do some pivot tables, use some pivot table, use some charts and show, hi, Zulaikha, my manager, Zulaikha, this is what I've been doing for a month. And I noticed that in my chart, I have done like 60% on sales and 40% on ad hoc. So maybe my ad hoc, can I focus on something like a project that you would want to do? So when you show a chart and you show a pivot table of what you've been doing for one whole month, I just be like, wow, okay, he has
Yeah.
analytical skill. He has the idea of strategic planning. All right, I want to challenge him. All right, for this whole 1 month, 1 year, we're facing this problem. What do you recommend? And then you gain an opening already to be someone a bit more knowledgeable in that. So that's why what like I said is true. Have a tracker, keep track of everything, write it down, do a chart. Managers love charts. they
Yeah,
love
that's true.
they love bars, they love all that
Oh,
pie chart, they love it. They love it so
Yeah.
much. So win their hearts by using that. At the same time, you learn how to analyze.
understood. So it's basically important to just set up an organized system. This is relating with the SOP, the tracker thing, right?
Yeah,
So it's good.
That's
and
what I
what
did.
Aman said is actually simplifying what you've done. So you make it easy for your manager to visualize what is done. Like 60% is doing this thing, 40% is doing this thing. So she
Oh,
knows like, oh, she already break it down for me. I don't have to be checking each tab to be seeing what she has been doing and everything.
that's
Another
interesting.
note, Jasmine, you try to learn to use Microsoft OneNote. That one is super fun and super nice to use. And managers would love you to use that because it's something they don't know. And when I show my manager and my CPO and my CFO on the Microsoft OneNote, they're like, okay, this is nice. Can we use it too? It's an example. Microsoft OneNote, spreadsheet, Word, what else? Zulaikha?
I usually use G Sheet or G Doc, and then save it in a drive somewhere that can easily be accessible. Just give a drive. Hi, Zulaikha, whoever your manager is. This is my drive or whatever I've been doing so far. And then later on, when she actually has to write your internship letter, she can even write you a recommendation letter because she knows that you've been doing good stuff. You deserve some recommendation letter for you to go to a different job, or even if you don't get like a permanent job, right? Always ask for recommendation letter. Okay.
Always
Yes.
ask for recommendation letter. Oh,
Yeah.
But
that's a secret.
make
to
sure
this
you
story,
are
yeah.
actually doing the job properly. So
Yeah, you're like, I
Oh,
want
yeah.
accommodation right now, right? Yeah.
Like give and
Thank
take.
you.
All right. Well, yeah. I hope that answers your question, Jasmine. Thank you for the question. I believe. I before we open mic for a question after this. I believe I just want to summarize it. So it's basically by having that system, by keeping things organized, it really shows our progress, right? So it just helps to even during everything like work from home, virtual. It just allows our managers, our head of department to show our progress, right?
yeah, especially working
Uh,
from home, you need to have this,
oh
especially
yeah.
that.
If I would summarize
So
everything,
that's
the first thing
important.
on my mind is the one word, exactly one word, attitude. Your attitude determines how you want to do your work, how you do your tracker, your interview, your internship, your everything. So my manager, Penny, from many years experience, she said, Amman, the first thing I look for internship, for interns, is the attitude because skills can be trained, but attitude is difficult. So yeah, attitude, guys.
I
Attitude.
actually
Yeah.
attitude. I actually have a question relating to the question just now. Because we're showing all of our progress online and all. Like because I'm pretty sure all of us first timers we're actually scared to do any mistake. How do we deal with that? Or we just always because we're always mentioning just don't be afraid to ask to just like do we actually have to be concerned on making mistakes while showing all the progress?
Okay. I talked to my CFO, all the way from Belgium, Anna Agafona. She came down to Malaysia. I asked her, I'm an intern, I made mistakes. What can you advise me? She said, always ask why. That's the sentence she mentioned. So you are bound to make a mistake. I think every managers know interns will definitely make a mistake. It can be a small, it can be big. The thing is that you just need to ask what went wrong, how can I do to improve, and then you put it in your tracker, and then you inform your manager, hey, I did this mistake before, but this is the solution towards it. Can I use it for any further challenge relating to that conflict? So we feel like, okay, Aman learned his lesson, but at the same time, he knows what to do, and he has a tracker on that. Okay, so I don't worry about that conflict ever again. Yeah, Zulaikha, you can something about it.
Yeah, so I
Sorry.
guess
Sorry, what was the question?
it's basically like because we're showing all of our progress online, work from home and all.
Oh, about making mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, what is
Okay.
my mistake now?
So making mistakes is inevitable. Of course, you have to make mistakes for you to learn, correct?
Yeah.
But when you make mistakes, it relates to your attitude back because you have to be humble when you make your mistakes. But when you make your SOP, you're not going to make as much mistakes because you already know the answer. You can refer it there. So everything that is mentioned today is very related to one another. If you do one thing, it's going to help you to deal with another problem that you might have.
So this is why the SOPs are important. So we
Yes.
could minimize our risks on doing mistakes. And even if we actually did it as a part of learning, we should just show our progression, just like Aman said, show that we learn from it, right?
Yeah.
All right, that's very in detail. Well, I believe we can do an open mic session for a question. Is there anyone? Yeah, if you have any question, just unmute yourself and you can ask now.
I have questions.
Yep.
Hi Aman, hi Zulaikha.
Hi, Nadia.
Hello.
In terms of resume, do I have to put specifically like for example, I'm the treasurer in BEA, and then do I have to put what I have gained, um, uh, what I have gained while I'm doing the treasurer, like, or is it? Do I have to put like just I'm the treasurer of BA. I joined this club, and then I joined volleyball. I joined badminton. I don't have to specify anything because I get confused. Some tips said, be direct, make a one-page resume, don't make it too long. So some tips said you have to show what has the title impact to you. What have you gained? So what's your tips about resume about that?
Okay, so I think because when we go through your resumes, right, we want things to be concise. So make sure your resume is concise. But when you are having the interview session, that's when you say what skills you've gained from that, from the question that they ask, tell me about yourself. And then you will go through in more in depth of what did you learn, what did you do. So from there, we already see that, oh, you have this kind of skills. They can break it down already. Your interviewer will know. So in resume, keep it concise. The longer the resume, actually, it's not going to help you. Make sure like 1 page to 1.5 or 2 page is enough. Despite you having so many different credentials, choose the top ones that you actually want to talk about and that is actually relative to the job you're applying for. Okay.
Right, one more questions. Is it if I put my internship experience, is it more stand out than those candidate that doesn't have internship?
I would say yes, because you already have some skills that you can bring forward from a different company that you already did internship. So let's say IMW's requirement is for you to do only one internship, but you have different semester breaks, right? You can use that semester break for you to use internship in other companies. Because back then, I didn't know we can actually do more than one internship. So after I did my internship for the compulsory one, then only I'm like, oh, I can actually do more. So the market is very, very competitive right now. You need to be able to put yourself out there to show that I have the skills that other people don't have. Maybe it sounds very self-centered, but but it's something that you need to tell the interviewer because they don't know anything about you. So you need to just talk about something that yourself that you want to highlight about. That's all. So if you have double internship, that's good.
Just to add on that, okay, internship, right? When you put resume in your internship, doesn't have to be internship. You can put like what I mentioned just now. You've been a cashier at McDonald's or a shop. You change your words, you tune your words. I had handled cash management of a SME company that makes how much? 1.2 million a year. I mean, if you know how much a shop makes a year, you'd be surprised how much they make a shop a year, right? Don't tell me a guy who owns 7-Eleven can afford a Mercedes like that, isn't it? So if you know how to use your words, right, it doesn't have to be internship alone. What Zulaikha said is true. They look at internship, but if you're able to look at your job experience, right, your experience, cashier, or you work in an office cleaner like I did last time, how you use your words determine your attitude and what are the skills that you learn in there, all right? So that's one thing you should add on into it as well. Oh, another thing, one more thing I add. One of my friend, okay, I know him very well. He doesn't have any internship experience. He did mostly research. And what he did to get a job, I give him a very simple tip. You go and apply, you go attend courses. You learn Excel courses.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
You learn training courses. These are all free. You can go to YouTube. You go to YouTube, you learn from them. And then you go and look online for any free learning courses that business needs. Analytical skills, and you use all these certificates to replace your experience. So is it entirely led, oh, I had a good internship? Not necessarily. I have a lot of friends who did research, but what they did to get a job, they go for all these training courses, basic business, Excel, office skills, yeah, soft skills. Yeah, even this one, career fair, you can put this as your experience.
Oh.
Right. It's like I say, you have to tune your resume. That's what I mean by tuning. Not only you just use your experience, but you also find the right words to present yourself.
All right.
If you need help on tuning your resume, just let me know. Ask Zulaikha also can. Zulaikha is better. Zulaikha is better because she's the one who did interviewing. I focus more on professional level. So you're asking me, it's more towards people who have professional level and how they do it. I'm just sharing you how they do it. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Amman and Zulaikha.
Welcome.
Very
Welcome.
interesting. So it's back to tuning the words, personalization, and be truthful, right? So that's really interesting. I believe we have just a little bit more time for one last question. Is there anyone else who wants to do open mic question, or if there's no one, we're going to choose one more final question from the chat. Anyone?
Yeah, I have a question.
All right. Yep. Go on.
Hi, Amman. Hi, Zulaikha. Okay, so my question is basically a simple one. So this is about applying for an actual job, like this is after the intern. So let's say there's two resumes and both of them have the same soft skills and work ethics. However, one of the resumes have a CGPA of 4.0. The other one has work experience in that specific field for 3 years. Now, between these two, which one would stand out more to the HR officer, and what would be determining the basically how they choose the candidates? Thank you.
So I think I just want to
Zulaikha, or I go first?
I just want to summarize
I
it.
want
So
Ahmad.
Aris.
it's
Aris.
basically how does the HR process the internships or job applicants, right? Based on those requirements. Right, Faris, I just want to clear that.
Yeah. Basically, I want to see if they would value someone who has a 4.0 CGPA or the work experience more.
Okay. Understood. All right.
Amman, this one's on you because you hire professionals.
Yeah, okay. So now, Faris, you want to know the truth? Okay. When you ask a specific question, I'm going to like know more specific, because when you're applying for a job that is a certificate, a professional level, right? Do they focus on experience without certificate, or they want someone with certificate but no experience? If the job description mentioned, I'm looking for someone who has a certificate in these skills, for sure they want to hire the one with a certificate, even though you have experience of 4 years. Because why they want someone with a certificate? Because you have proof that you've done research on that. You may experience the market, but have you done research on the market? That's a different thing you have to understand. So this is the kind of thing that I face every day of my job, where I have to determine the right professional service person, the right consultant for my clients. So it all boils down to what sort of skills, what sort of candidate they want in the job. So if you are applying for a job where they want more of the person who has the certificate, because maybe the requirement from the client is someone who has certificate, part of their GDPR, part of their Data Protection Act, then no matter how experienced you are, I cannot hire you, because that company, that client, they need someone with a certificate. They can't just simply give someone who has experience, right? Are you going to hire someone who doesn't have SIL certificate to do SIL? No, right? Or someone who does Python. I have experience doing Python, but does Python? No, they want someone who has that, especially in the banking industry. So when you talk about, in general, Amman, will you choose experience or a certificate? If you have experience and certificate both, I will choose you. But you have one of them, I go back to the client. Because the client now will decide, no, Amman, I only want certificate, no matter how much experience is. Because if I just hire an experienced person with a certificate, I'm going to face trouble from my manager, because we need someone who understands and got a recommendation from the right source. Yeah. Zulaikha, anyone add on to that?
No, I think if both of these candidates actually went through the interview, then the interview would actually be the determining point. When it comes down to your attitude about when you talk about your resume, about your skills and whatnot, because perhaps the person who has the job experience are more willing to learn or willing to listen through the interview. The personality would shine as compared to someone who has the certificate but has not even actually put that skills into good use. It's just you have a degree but you don't have a job, that kind of thing, right? So
yep.
At the end of the day, it all depends on the hiring manager, which one they prefer to be working with.
As I mentioned in the very beginning, right, I got top 3. Why am I the top 3? Because someone has the certificate and I don't. but they want someone certificate because it represents the job. And I'll tell you the company, but let's just say that they need someone who has a certificate in ACCA, but I have the knowledge on that. For example.
Oh, understood. So it basically it depends on our personality, our skill sets, but the work experience, but it also depends on the company, right? Some companies will just have different preferences from each other. And I believe back to summarizing everything, that's why we have to tune in, we have to personalize our selection, our research, do a thorough research, personalize our resume, our CV for the companies, because each companies have different preferences, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you apply for a certificate, right, you need to know, why do you apply that? Is it because your parents told you to, or because you are interested in it? You can understand. Having a certificate, right, meaning, right, you are targeting as a niche market. If you learn business, niche market. So when you look at that certificate, you know you're going to target that market. You need to find the availability in that market. If you can't, you end up being a normal accountant. Oh, I'm an accountant, but I have CPA. Then that's a waste, right? So you need to know, if you are able to get that, you need to work your way towards that. So yeah.
Well, I guess I hope that makes it clear for you, Faris. Thank you so much for the question. Well, I believe that's pretty much our time just now for this session. It was a wonderful time having the sharing session. I jotted a lot of notes from Zulaikha and Amman so much. Thank you. Thank
Even
you so
me too.
much for yeah, I can see you brought up the book. Thank you so much for sharing the experience, the process, and all. And I hope you guys jot down all the notes. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. We're going on a lunch break. Right now, it's 1:15 p.m. We're gonna have a 30 minutes break, and please do come back for at 1:45 p.m. The next session, the company will be SNL Setia as the NBHD. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Thank you so much, Zulaikha and Ahmad.
Picture.
Oh, picture.
Yeah.
Everyone could
Who's taking the image, guys?
Me.
I'm sorry, the line is
okay.
quite bad.
Yeah. Okay.
My,
All right.
my microphone, because my family is kind of noisy.
Okay. No
Oh,
worries.
okay.
Okay, it's all done. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Akasha left. Oh, okay.
I think
All
it's
right.
internet connection.
So
okay,
now we're the new moderators.
I think I'll take over for a bit for him. I think he accidentally lost connection. But thank you so much for the insightful session. I think a lot of the participants took some key takeaways from this. And yeah, thank you so much, and good luck for all your future endeavors. And we hope maybe in the near future we can have you both again, an updated version of the session. So yeah, thank you everyone. And don't forget to come back for our session at 1:45 p.m. We have 2 more sessions with SNL Setia Sendirian Berhad and also Shopee. So yeah, thank you everybody.
Thank you so much, INWBDA.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Have fun eating lunch. Bye.